welcome to another edition of Focus on Hopkins County. I'm your host, Tim Thomas. We're glad you've joined us for this edition of our program. We have with us this evening Ms. Susan Reed, who is a licensed professional counselor associate, and she is a substance abuse therapist with Pennyroyal Center here in Madisonville. And this is April is Counseling Awareness Month. And Susan, we're glad to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you, and glad to be able to talk about what I think is a very important subject matter. You've been doing this a while, but tell us a little bit, what is counseling?
Counseling is a collaborative effort between clients and counselors. It's a place for people to come and talk and be able to express what's going on with themselves. We help them identify goals, work towards a positive solution so that they can have a different aspect of and perspective on their lives. It's a place where, you know, if somebody's having some emotional turmoil, we are there for them to be able to work through it. It's a place where you can figure out some coping skills, strengthen your self-esteem, and promote behavior change. And so counseling is a place where you can come and work on your issues in a safe environment. And
you know, you find so many people that are going through so many...
Especially nowadays.
During this time, you know, that's the reason why we wanted to focus in on this, because we wanted to reach out, and people that are listening, there's some that may need, you know, help in different areas.
And you know, what's important is there's such a stigma on mental health and getting help. And a lot of times people are uncomfortable with identifying what it is that's going on. And it really is a place where you can just come and be able to, you know, have someone help you figure it out. And you know, if we can get away from the stigma of mental health being a negative thing, you know, everybody needs help with something.
Sure.
And so you need to have some resources that can provide you the type of help that you need.
Yeah. Why do people seek counseling?
Mainly if they're going through some emotional issues, or, you know, it may be someone with a substance use problem. It may be someone who is dealing with a marriage issue. Maybe someone with children who are having some issues in school with their behaviors. So it's a place and a time for them to come and seek help. And I think a lot of times we wait until we get to extreme measures. And instead of waiting until it becomes extreme, if we, you know, acknowledge that something is going on, because it's great to have friends and you know, have somebody to run things with, but a lot of times friends will offer you their advice and their opinions.
True.
And you know, they're not always your best source, because your friends are going to want to be there for you and support you in that way. And that's great to have your friends, but sometimes you need that counseling aspect of, you know, someone looking from the outside and allowing you to figure out what you want versus somebody telling you what you should be doing.
Sure. Now, if I was to enter your place and I was wanting to get counseling, what do I expect from counseling and from a therapist?
Okay. Every situation is different. Depends on the type of counselor you're looking for. If you come to the Pennyroyal Center, which is where I work, you will come in and we'll do an intake. You'll, you know, identify what it is that you feel like you need to be working on, and we'll sit down, and usually it's probably about an hour for an intake session, and we take that time to just gather a lot of information, and it helps us to sort through what it is that we're going to be working on. And now if you're going to a private agency, you would have the opportunity to see a particular individual. You get to choose, you know, which counselor you're looking to see. And that's the good thing about being here, especially now. We have so many new licensed counselors that recently, you know, opened up private practices. And so we're supplying a need that's there. But you come in and your experience will be, with me, it's a relaxed environment. I want you to feel safe. We establish rapport.
But I would think that your surrounding, your environment that you're in plays a part.
It does. It makes a difference. Even though you're in an office setting with me, and it's, you know, it's typical office setup.
Sure.
But some of our offices, you know, we'll have some more cushiony chairs. We're able to adjust some of the lighting so it's, you know, not just a stark place.
Yeah.
But what usually happens is the main thing is the way the counselor.
So you just basically let the person do the talking.
Yes, sir.
And bring out what needs to come out in themselves.
And the part about the counseling aspect is that we work from theoretical orientations. We have, you know, our specialized modalities that we work from. My base is I'm a person-centered person, and that's, you know, based on the theory of Carl Rogers. And it's about meeting the person where they are, accepting them, and having unconditional positive regard for the person. And I don't go in judging you. You know, I come in with you're Tim Thomas, and let's find out what you want to be stronger with as Tim Thomas.
Wow. How long does the counseling session usually last?
Your typical sessions is about 50 minutes. Some do 30 minutes. It depends on what your situation is. In our, if you're doing intensive outpatient, can be something that can be done, and you may spend an hour a week or maybe 2 hours a week, up to 4 hours a week of seeing somebody, depending on what you're experiencing. Typically, it's once a week with me. The program that I'm working with now is called Kentucky Kids Recovery, and what we're doing with that, we work with adolescents age 11 to 18 with substance abuse issues. And so those kids are coming in. Some of us see them for 30 minutes at a time, maybe once or twice a week. And some of us see them for an hour at a time, once a week. And as we back down on the sessions, as you know, if they've been referred for prevention of substance abuse, that may mean that they've had someone in their family or had some exposure to substance abuse, and we want to help them know how to just say no. And you know, it goes beyond just saying no. You got to put some actions with it.
Absolutely.
And so we work with them from a prevention point. And then for the kids that we're working with, our adolescents we're working with that have used, some of them have been to a rehab facility such as Cumberland Hall, which is a hospital, not a rehab facility. But they may come to us in need of steps to follow through to maintain their sobriety or to decrease the amount of usage that they're having.
What age group do you find in this?
I've had some as young as 9.
Really?
Yeah, we have, and some of the other positions I've held.
Wow.
But for right now, our focus is on 11 to 18-year-olds. And so you get a range of, some kids start smoking at 8 years old, and they're smoking up to 2 packs a day. You know, you think that they wouldn't have such easy access, but they have access to cigarettes, and you know, some parents try to prevent them from using, but sometimes it's, you know, it's an environmental thing as well. And so if you have parents that smoke regularly and they may not have such an issue with their child smoking, or sometimes the parents find out later that their children are smoking. And what I find is tough for some of the kids is that, you know, legally you can't give a kid a patch to help withdraw from smoking, and because they're not supposed to be smoking, but nicotine is addictive.
Of course.
And once they start, you know, it's on. It's difficult to just get them to stop. So a lot of times my focus is working with decreasing the amount of usage. You know, we encourage them to, you know, if they want to stop, to stop. But you know, some of it is, you know, you got to be realistic. You have to back them down off of it more so than just saying, okay, you quit smoking.
You know, what's really, you know, kind of what is so strange about it, because we're seeing epidemic here in Madisonville, Hopkins County with drugs. You know, even through the Crime Stoppers program, a lot of our calls are concerning that. You know, and it's just gotten to the point now that it seems like the parents have just lost control of their kids.
Yeah. And it's tough because, you know, the parents are, you know, we have some parents that are working to, you know, protect their children. We have some parents that are in some ways in denial about their child's usage. We have some parents that the kids smoke with their parents. It's different for each one, and there is somewhat of a loss of control because you want to say that not my child, but in all honesty, access is pretty easy for a lot of them.
What other types of counseling are available?
There's individual counseling, and that's your one-on-one with your local counselor. And usually an individual, you're focused on just what your issues are. Different things may come up that involve family members or relationships, but during the individual time, it's about you. There is couples counseling, so if there are some relationship issues that you want to talk about, that's
married or unmarried.
Married or unmarried. And then there's also family counseling. And what I like to do is I incorporate, when I'm working with an individual adolescent, incorporate family with that, because you can do all this great work there in the office with this kid, but they got to go home. Sure. And so if you don't work with the family, then the work that you're doing there kind of negates whatever is going to happen after that. And so you can do some family counseling, and it doesn't mean that the family has to attend every session, but at least once every 4 weeks try to get your family in, or you start off with your parents coming in the first time anyway, and sometimes the children will open up and share, and sometimes there are some things they don't want to say in front of their parents. And then there's also group counseling, and some of the groups that we do at the Referrals Center, we work with the drug court, and we do morning groups and afternoon groups. In town, there are also some grief group specialists that are available. Hospice used to offer grief groups. I'm not sure how much they're doing right now, but you can do groups. And as we continue to build the adolescents audience, we're going to start doing adolescent groups as well. And so what the great thing about group is you come and is your peer group of people who have some things in common with the same type of issues that you may be dealing with. And so when we start doing the adolescent groups here in Hopkins County, it's going to be a substance abuse based group for adolescents.
When you go home, how are you able to separate home life from what you've experienced all day? I would think that would be a difficult.
It is sometimes tough. Yeah. Because
if you have a passion for what you're doing,
you wonder, what's next for the client. You wonder if they're able to, if they've grasped the coping skills and techniques that you've worked with them on.
Because you want to help them.
You want to help, and that's what this is. This is the helping field. But you also have to think about self-care, and if you don't have a place where you turn it off, then if that continues to be your everyday, it's difficult for you to go back refreshed and be able to offer a fresh you and open mind. I had one professor who would always tell us to check out luggage at the door so that it's not about us. Had one professional that I know what she would do. She had a 45-minute drive, and there's a bridge where she had to cross to go over into her county. And when she gets to the bridge, she says she has to shut down licensed counselor, go back into the individual. But that self-care is important. It's also important that counselors have counselors, because you take on a lot of different tough situations. You're thinking about children who are in abusive situations. You think about adults who are in abusive. You think about the ones who are substance users who are struggling. You're thinking about somebody that's grieving. You're taking on all of their weights, and then you're able to give it back. Be able to help them sort through. But sometimes there are some cases that just stay with you, as a counselor, and you after they're, however much time you spend with them is up when you start to transition them, and counseling services end, or something happens and they just stop coming. You wonder, what's going on, what's happening.
I think that's where your spirituality has to kick in as well. I think you would have to be very prayerful. Not just for your own sanity, but for the people that you're have met and networked with.
Yeah. And personally, I do believe that is the ultimate, way of digesting, what I am experiencing with my clients. In the church, sometimes there's a taboo to believe that, you can pray everything away. I really believe that, mental health, seeking help for mental health help does not have to be either or. I think you need both. If you're not a spiritual person, then whatever your resource is, is there too. But I just really, think it's important to emphasize that we don't have to choose between, getting mental health help and having a prayer life. I think there's a combination. I think it works well together. And, and I really believe that the same, we have to put our personal belief systems on hold. It is my makeup of who I am. It is, I have my moral, I have my own things that I have to deal with where I come from a spiritual basis. But I also have to make sure I don't place that on somebody else.
Sure.
Our code of ethics says that we don't take our personal beliefs and apply them to someone else. But personally, I really do believe that that's part of your well-being, your own self-care, is whatever your spiritual guide is, whatever your source is, wherever you find peace. And I think that's important to be able to identify that.
Tell us a little bit about how people are referred to you.
Well, with my particular program, with the Kentucky Kids program, we have referrals through parents, through the school system, through the Department of Juvenile Justice, through the court-designated workers. Although our program is voluntary, we can still, we welcome them to come. We want them to, be as involved as possible. But there are some times that, the kids don't want to do the program. And we try our best to encourage them to follow through. Even with them coming in through DJJ and CDWs, is no longer a requirement, but is voluntary. It's a lot of times it's part of their diversion program. So if a kid has gotten into some type of legal problem, and part of the court system asks that they or request that they seek counseling services, and so that's a lot of how we get. And then there's also word of mouth, which is really good. That means that somebody feels that they've been helped and they're willing to share that with others and say, here's a place you can go and find someone to talk to.
Tell us, when it comes to the length of how long someone can stay in your program. Is there a link to that?
Well, sometimes it's based on insurance, in all honesty. What the insurance company is going to allow. It may be 4 to 6 weeks that you're in, but it could be intensive outpatient, so you may be coming multiple times during the week. And sometimes it can, maybe a year. But we always start out with termination in mind, because it's not about, just coming just to be coming. You want to make sure that you're making progress and that people are making changes and they're seeing some differences. So, you may have someone up to a year, but what we try to do is there's a plan, there's a timeline, there are goals set, and as they're meeting their goals, and we have our objectives that they have to kind of go through and say, this is showing me that I'm making some progress. This is where I am right now. This may be where I started. May have had a setback here or there, but it's still an opportunity for me to say, I got something to look forward to, because what we want you to do is be able to get out there and work through and handle your situations as they come.
Someone may be listening and say, well, I don't have health insurance. I don't have any insurance at all. Give us, what are the alternatives that are available as far as other than coming out of pocket?
Yeah.
Well, any options?
With the Affordable Care Act now, there's a lot more provided for mental health coverage. And so when we have some people that come to the Referrals Center, we have case managers that help them work to sign up for the Affordable Care Act so that they can have insurance coverage. We accept Medicare. We also accept private insurance. Now, with a licensed professional counselor, you have to be individually licensed, because we start out when a licensed professional counselor has to have at least a master's degree. Some have doctorate degrees, but you're required to have a master's of education in counseling. Our programs, are set up so that there are 66 hours of counseling study that we do before, and then after we finish our program, we are required to earn 4,000 hours of postgraduate care study hours. And so that's, seeing clients individually, we have to have 1,600 hours of direct care, and then the rest is indirect care, so that we're, continuing education, at all times. So this is one of those fields that, although a lot of things are the same, there are still constantly new things coming up. And so if you're a licensed professional counselor who is like private practice, or with an agency, once you become independently licensed, you're eligible to apply to the insurance company so that you can take different types of insurance. So in Kentucky, have
you seen a big help since the Affordable Care Act?
I have seen a difference.
Has it made a positive impact in this area?
I believe so. I don't know what the statistics are on it, but because people now have a little bit more opportunity to come and find help, they're reaching out more. We're having more people show up. We're having more people be a little bit more consistent. When they don't have to pay out of pocket as much, it helps. Every bit counts, that you can come and get services and know that there's some coverage for it.
So you've seen how people have, here in Kentucky, have gotten on board with KNAC, which is just a form of the Affordable Care Act / Obamacare. And you heard people across the country say, well, I don't want Obamacare, but I take the Affordable Care Act,
And I realize that it's one and the same.
Yeah, not really one and the same. But it's all about helping people. And we're seeing, not only in Kentucky, but across the country now, that it is making a positive impact in people that have not had insurance before. Some people are getting this insurance, don't even want you to know that they're, you know what I'm saying? But it's all good, because it's all about helping people to sustain their health and this type of thing. What is basically your day like when, a typical day like?
Every day is a little bit different. Other than
starting off with a cup of coffee.
Every day is a little bit different. It depends on what your client load looks like. My client load is pretty consistent, that at this point I'm able to see my clients weekly or bi-weekly or as often, but typically start the day just checking in to see what your workload is like. Who do you have on the calendar for today? So you may have someone that's dealing with substance abuse, and that's pretty much mainly what I do. I'm starting to see people for outpatients substance abuse assessments. And so they may have been referred from DCBS because of a situation. It may be I get a chance to go to court sometimes, and for the juvenile court, and sit in on those sessions and hear what's going on. You may have some town hall meetings. You may have an opportunity, because we cover some other counties. In some of those counties, we have task force meetings. And during that time, it's community members who have come together, maybe mainly school systems or your health department or different people on that task force. So you may get a chance to go to that type of meeting, and they want to know what's available for mental health, what is provided for in their school systems.
And is it just for Hopkins County residents, or outside of Hopkins County as well?
The Kentucky Kids Recovery Program is in, I believe, 8 counties. And so there's therapists in each of those counties, and they provide coverage there. As far as Pensacola Center, we have a number of clinics across the region, in the Pensacola region. So there are a lot of services out there. What gets difficult sometimes is that in your more rural areas, you run into issues with people with transportation. And that's a, you know, kind of a tug on them coming in for services. And so what the Kentucky Kids program did, part of that grant, was that we can go to the homes and see the clients. And so that's made a difference for a number of our kids being able to be seen. So, you know, if we can't see them during other times or they don't have ways to the office, this particular grant-funded program allowed us to go to their homes and see them.
Well, Ted, we're running out of time, but we want to talk quickly about, do you provide group therapy or individual?
We mainly, right now we're doing the individual therapy in Hopkins County. In a couple of our other counties like Christian and Trigg, they are doing some group therapy for our adolescents. As the clientele builds here, we will start doing adolescents groups as well.
How long do the participants have to attend?
We haven't locked it down yet. We're going to do probably at least 6 weeks, and it'll be an open group, which means that as people are referred, they'll be able to come in and, you know, continue services, and then once they've reached whatever goals that they have set, then we'll be able to close that out with them.
And how often will they have to attend?
Once a week at least.
At least once a week. How is their success measured?
We set up a treatment plan, and which sets the goals, and they have objectives, and we go through that, and usually, you know, we do 30-day look at it, how much progress they're making. And so as they're kind of checking it off, and, you know, if there's not too many setbacks or too many, you know, dilemmas or additional problems that arise, we move them through at their pace. It really is at the client's pace. So it may be, you know, 4 weeks if it's something like prevention, or it may be, you know, 3 months. It just depends on what's going on. And then again, sometimes it's affected by what insurance coverage will allow. Right.
Well, listen, as we close out, this is just so interesting, and we want you to come back so we can talk more about this. Just talking to the listening audience, if tell them what if they have any concerns, what they should do, or
the main thing I'd like for people to know that is, if you need help, seek it out. Don't let shame and taboos and stigmatisms get in the way of you following through with you getting the help you need. If there are family members who recognize that, you know, someone is dealing with depression or, you know, extreme sadness or substance use or grieving, that, you know, we're available here in your county to provide services that you need. As far as counselors themselves, I have a little list that we have, and it says 12 things you should know about professional counselors. It says they have master's or doctoral degrees in counseling. We emphasize multicultural competence and respect for diverse worldviews. We focus on wellness, career development, client empowerment, a proactive approach to mental health, encourage people to be genuine and to work and find their own authentic self, assist with issues caused by typical life stressors such as grief and loss, relationship problems, developmental challenges throughout their lifespan. We can diagnose and or treat mental disorders. We are often trained in reacting to disasters, those created by individuals and nature. We serve as a frontline resource in schools as the eyes and ears for early signs of emotional distress caused by bullying, harassment, and other forms of abuse and trauma. We play an important role on college campuses as the number of students visiting counseling centers is steadily increasing. We work with military veterans to help them with depression, PTSD, the transition back into civilian life, and more. We abide by American Council Association's Code of Ethics, which, you know, was updated in 2014. And we are passionate, diverse, and committed to helping people from all walks of life in all depths of despair and to survive and thrive in this world. And so we
12 steps to getting better, huh?
12 steps.
Yeah.
12 things we want you to know about professional counselors.
That's wonderful. And we didn't even touch on where veterans are concerned and their things needs that they deal with, you know, which is just an epidemic now. So we most definitely want you to come back, and we can get into other issues and talk about those issues as well. Will you do that?
I will.
Well, it has just been a pleasure to have you to come. And we hope that you will take advantage of the number that's on the screen. Call someone and let them know how important this program is. If you need help, please take advantage of this. We live in a critical time.
We do.
Now that we are in the mode of so much going on across our community, our state, and our nation, now is the time for us to reach out and have a helping hand.
Yes.
To help someone else.
And I want to say thank you for this opportunity. Mental health is important, and our well-being is important, so I appreciate this opportunity.
Well, we appreciate you being here, and I'm sure I'm going to get Gary signed up as soon as possible to come.
It's always good to talk.
It's always good to talk. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Susan Reed has been with us today, and call the Pennyroyal Center. She is a substance abuse therapist, licensed professional counselor, and she can help you through some difficult times, along with her associates that work with her. So we encourage you to do that. You've been listening and watching Focus on Hopkins County, and we encourage you to continue to keep sharing the dream.